Welcome along to the Soda Room.
It's that spine-tingling moment where you're actually numb.
It was like we had won the grand final.
Still, for me, that is the most incredible experience of my life.
My mindset is always moving forward, always sucking the marrow out of life.
What do you actually like about this music stuff? Because you're pretty angry. It's not like you're a member of Powderfinger or anything.
On today's show, we're joined by Kosi Kropinyeri, a much-loved and highly respected comedian, artist and speaker. He's also the father of AFL star Kosi Kropinyeri-Pickett. Kevin's childhood was marred by domestic violence, alcoholism and cruelty. And as a young man, he was locked up in 3 states and really struggled to find his way. Through enormous courage and self-reflection, Kevin turned his life around. His powerful story of how he did that is truly as remarkable as it is transformational. I'm really grateful to Kev for sharing his story with such honesty and vulnerability. I know you're going to love it. Now, this episode does talk about mental health, so if you have any concerns, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14.
Well, Kev, welcome along. It's brilliant to have you in here, mate.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, brother. I tell you now, I was pretty excited to get that phone call and you know, finally got back in the country and then, you know, I've only been back home for about a week and then got home and then up here to Adelaide and then have a nice yak with you over this podcast. Fantastic, mate.
And now we're getting excited too because Garden of Unearthly Delights underway and your show's not far away. So you're doing a week, 16th of March to the 22nd of March.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And a big shout out to Michelle Buxton. She's looked after us. We've always been in the garden with the Aboriginal Comedy All-Stars. Yep. And now we get to bring back my solo. And Michelle's always been championing me on and always been a cheerer from the sidelines. And I just love her.
She's brilliant. What she's done with the garden over the past 20-odd years has been sensational, hasn't
it? Yeah, it's been great. Yep. And, you know, as to who's who in the garden, everyone wants to be in the garden.
Yep.
So to be actually in there doing my show, my solo show, and I'm pretty excited. Just got to get out there and start getting some tickets on sale, you know.
That's what we're here to do, mate. Funny comes first. That's the name of the show.
Yes.
Right.
And I tell you why, because back in the day, you look at this, people used to listen to politicians and laugh at comedians. And now I think it's the other way around. They're laughing at politicians and listening to comedians.
It's a good point.
And I understand that, you know, the state of the world is at the moment. It's getting, you know, in my it's getting a bit full on, a bit crazy out there. And, you know, a lot of my beautiful colleagues who I love dearly have always got a theme or getting a little bit political, which I understand, not a problem. I just wanted to bring the funny. So you know, like I'm a comedian. I just want to bring the funny. So the funny comes first.
So give us a little snapshot before we get back in, because your story is remarkable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Geez, you've done some stuff.
Sometimes I sit back and sometimes I sit back and reflect. And I'm thinking I should have been a statistic. I made a concrete decision 22 years ago. Yep. And when I look back, I've humbly and with gratitude, I'm pretty lucky, and I've done a lot since I turned my life around. Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit. Tell us about life as a young man, young Kevin. What was he like?
I guess I looked at myself. I was a bit of a soft kid. You know, I think circumstances and an environment that I grew up in made me hard. I got a bit of a unique story, but it's kind of cultural as well. So I got 2 mothers. Right, so my 2 mothers are first cousins. So my grandmothers are sisters. My mum, Rosie, who gave birth to me, was having some issues, and my biological father, who I unfortunately never had the opportunity to meet, she was having troubles with him, and he'd always take off with me, always grab me and take off with me. And when my mum finally got me back, which was a bit of a full-on scenario, according to one of my aunties that was grabbed me that day. They had to go and get my mum's other cousins to come and get me from my father and his family. And I was only 2 months of age at the time.
Wow.
So he'd taken off with me, and then he was in Port Adelaide. And this is according to my auntie Amelia, my mum's first cousin. And they come out and he lifted me up in the rain. He says, "This is my son." And so he was holding me in the rain, and then my uncles were there lined up on one side, and my father's brothers were lined up on the other side, and they clashed, and my auntie grabbed me, wrapped me up in her jacket. She goes, I twisted your arm, and she ran off to the car. And then when I turned around, all your uncles on both sides were fighting.
Wow.
So then my mum got me and she said, what are you going to do now? She goes, take him out to Beryl. Take him out to Beryl. So Beryl at the time was at Tail and Bend. And they shanghaied me out to Beryl. So my real name is Anthony Wilson. And they changed my name to Beryl's husband's name.
So who was Beryl to the family?
Beryl was the oldest first cousin out of all three sisters.
Right.
And so they give me to Beryl, and they changed my name from Anthony Wilson and adopted me to Kevin Kropinyeri, which was the name of my stepfather, only father I ever knew.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's how that name Kevin Kropinyeri came about. And just a little rewind, Mother Beryl at the time had lost a child, a son, and then she lost twin girls. So she's grieving. The doctor told her that she couldn't have children anymore. And then, so they couldn't have children anymore. So then they got me. And then she was very lucky. She conceived my sister Sally.
Right. Yeah.
But I think the unfortunate thing about it, and I say this with love because I say it with absolute forgiveness, old Kev was grieving his loss of his children, and he didn't have the capacity in his heart at that time to love another man's child.
Right.
So growing up in that household was very hard for me, right up until the age of 8.
Right. And so you were exposed to
I was exposed, and I say this with love, and I'm not throwing any mud or arrows because I've dealt with all that. I've healed from it. But we grew up in a lot of domestic violence, a lot of alcoholism, and he was very, very cruel to Mother Beryl, and he was very cruel to me growing up. So he shaped and moulded me into that young teenager and the man that I became in my 20s.
Growing up like that, were you aware of the family scenario?
Yes.
Right
yes.
from the start?
The two mothers were like sisters. So I knew exactly. Yeah, and I'd always come down and spend holidays with Mum Rosie. My siblings would come down and stay with Mum because my two mothers were that close. And both on their deathbeds, I lost them 6 months apart back in 2017 and 2017, 2018, I lost them 6 months apart, and it was a pretty hard time for me. They both said to me on my deathbed, on their deathbed, that I've never had an argument with my sister. And in our culture, your first cousins are not your cousins. Your first cousins are your brother and sisters.
Yep.
You know, so that's how we grew up.
So, Kev, when you exposed to those sorts of things when you're growing up, violence, I imagine, how did that shape you?
You come a bit numb to it, and at the time it was a lot of fear. You grow up fearful, like the fear would consume you. And then when I done my studies, when I got older and I started to heal, I realised that all that trauma that we went through, actually on a child's developing brain, you know, is not good for a child. And so I understand myself now better, but I did not understand myself as a young teenager, young man. And then, so that it really shaped and moulded me into that dysfunctional young man that I became.
It's a credit to you how you're able to process that later on, which we'll get to, but I want to just get an understanding of what it was like then for that young man. Was it anger?
Anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anger comes from fear. I think as a young man I was violent, and I couldn't regulate my emotions. And so coming from that and the fear that I went through as a kid, when you reach that age, it's like, you know what? There's nothing you can do to hurt me. I'm not scared of you. I'd take a hiding before I let somebody stand over me.
Yeah.
And so that was that little cogs turning in my head, and, you know, don't show fear, don't cry, you know, and just be hard, you know.
So you essentially put this wall up.
Yeah.
And What were you fearful of? Do you know
As a
back
kid,
then what it was?
as a
Yeah.
kid, I was fear of dying. Yeah, there was a fear of death upon me. I seen horrible things that no child should see. Me and my sister Sally, and we grew up in that. And it took me a long time to forgive that old man. Yeah. It took me a very long time, and I loved him. He was a bit of a football champion from the Taliban Football Club, and I grew up hating the Taliban Football Club because he loved his mates and his footy more than he loved mum and us, you know. But at the age of 8, I don't know how graphic you want to get, and I don't mind sharing it, keeping in mind. But, you know, I used to get ripped out of beds in the middle of the night, chucked in cold showers, and used to get, you know, hosed down in the middle of winter, taken outside and hosed down. I used to get tied up, hang upside down on a hills hoist and swung around, you know. So all that fear, and you just didn't know what was going to happen to you, you know, and, you know, locked in a cupboard one time. But I've healed from that. I couldn't even talk about it, Soda. I couldn't even talk about it. It was too painful. And now, like, I've got scars on my body, and when I remember I touched those scars now, I remember the pain, I remember what happened, but it doesn't hurt anymore because it's healed. So that's how my memories are now. So when I talk about my memories, I've got to be mindful. Even though I've healed, the effect of my story can trigger and hurt, can trigger other people about, oh, you know, but no, I'm okay, I've healed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I suppose in some regards it would be like shining a mirror up to some people who have suffered trauma.
Yeah,
And it revisits their own.
Yeah.
Is that what you've just
Yeah, so you got to do, like, I do a lot of guest speaking around my story and becoming successful. And I talk about, you know, there's some trigger warnings about some abuse that I'm going to be talking about. And, you know, if I go and do men's groups or companies, I always give them a warning up front. But if I'm doing schools and stuff, I just gloss over some stuff, you know, because I'm not going to give them too much meat to chew on, you know.
So how much trouble did you find yourself in as a young man?
I don't know, I've probably been locked up more than my hands and toes, you know, fingers and hands and toes. Like always, you know, get into a blue down the pub, cops come in, you spend the night in the cells, got to go out and bail, and you know, so I was a bit of a fiery lad, and you know, banned from the Taliban Football Club for over 25 years.
Well, you didn't like them, did you? Did you?
But you know what? I was never a bully, Soda.
Yeah.
But I always stuck up for myself.
So how do you get banned from the Taliban footy club?
Oh, look, and a good mate of mine, and I just want to give him a shout out. You know, it was pretty important that I received his forgiveness, and it was a bit of a champion from the Taliban Football Club, Brett Tompkinson. Love you, Brett, and we can have a beer. We're both mad Norwood supporters. I never played for Taliban in my A-grade football in the River Murray because I just had this deep hatred towards the footy club because of old Kev. Yep. So I was good enough to get paid, so I paid for everyone else but Taylor. And, you know, all Kropinyeris, they all play for Taylor. That's their club, you know. And I just didn't want to give this man the joy of watching me play for something that he loved more than his own family.
I bet you played some ripping games against Taylor Ben, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely. I always rise to the occasion. I love my Taylor Benders out there. I think one of the highlights is knocking out Taylor in a prelim, and I got best on ground that day. And my first cousin, he's a male medalist, Noel Hartman. Love you, Noel. They try to, and he is a gun. So I grew up watching him play and really admired my big first cousin, and he's a bit of a legend at Onkaparinga Valley, won a premiership with them and won a premiership with Taylor on a number of occasions. They put him on me to try and tag me, and I got the best of me big cousin. Love him, you know. But I could have went further with me football, but I was a little bit lost, and I'd always, you know, is Kev going to roll up on a Saturday? He was, right. You know, you go football on a Thursday night, and then after football selection, you get on the beer, and after football, and then I'm on a 3 or 4 day bender, you know, don't miss out on football, you know. I was one of them lads, go and get the bread and milk and come back 2 weeks later with the bread and milk, you know. You know, like sightings of the Sasquatch. Is he going to turn up? We don't know. We just do not know. You know?
Were there moments when you had no idea where you were going to go, how you were going to end up?
I was lost.
given up any sort of, I suppose, faith that you were going to get anywhere?
Well, there was a couple of things. I was a lost young man, and I think when you go through so much trauma, you medicate through. For me, it was drinking. It was women. You go through so much rejection as a child, and because you had the body and you was a fit young man and a bit of a bad boy, you could always kind of pull the chicks, and so I had, I think you would medicate. So for that fleeting moment when you was with that woman, you felt loved and accepted. Yep. But so it was like a spark, like over. Let's get the next spark, like over. But we're really, as human beings, we're always looking for that eternal flame.
So you were looking for love?
I think we're all looking for love. Yeah. For me, it was I didn't know any better. And I say this with my children are older now. And I say, I'd walk in and I had all my children are successful because they got something I never had, and it's a father that loved them and is interested in their lives. I mean, old Kev became interested in my life at a later date, which I loved and accepted. But there was a period of my teenage and my 20s where, like, I'd walk in the room, he'd see me, and so many times I had to hold back, hurting him, and he'd go, "Oh, here he comes. Here's the male slut," And I was like, I didn't understand myself until that healing came into my life. And my dear old Mother Beryl and Mother Rose, they led by example, They led by example, and they come from their own trauma as well, So they led by example, and I think the biggest thing that they taught me was forgiveness.
Kev, as you're growing up and you're getting yourself in and out of trouble, was there a turning point? Was there a moment?
I found myself in a bit of trouble in New South Wales. And like I said, you can leave the state, you can leave the town, but if you don't deal with what's going on in your heart and in your spirit, you're going to take that trouble everywhere you go. So I found myself in, of all places, Dubbo, and I got in a bit of trouble and ended up getting locked up. And I spent the night in the cells, and then I got out on bail, but then I got myself into trouble again. So I went back there again, and this time they've sentenced me. They've sentenced me to 6 months, and I'm on my way to Bathurst prison. Now, by an act of God, Soda, I had to spend the night again in Dubbo cells, and I'm thinking, what am I doing with my life? I still remember her name, Mary West, from Western Aboriginal Legal Services in Western New South Wales, came into me and goes, "Look, Kev, it's going to be a bit of a long shot, but we're going to appeal the sentence. And while we appeal the sentence, we're going to ask for bail." And by an act of God, I got out on appeal bail. It's the last time I've been in trouble.
Right.
And then I got bailed to Bourke, New South Wales. And for the first time in my life, I couldn't legally go anywhere.
So they essentially said you got to stay in the back of Bourke?
Back of Bourke, literally.
Right. And how long were you committed to stay there for?
I was there for about well over 12 months, maybe 14 months.
And you weren't allowed to leave the town?
I had to sign at the police station twice a day. Yeah, but I knew people there because I had a job there before I got locked up. I had a job there.
Doing what?
I was working with education, of all things. Yeah, go figure, bloody hypocrite. But I was a young man, and so I got back to Bourke, and this dear lady by the name of Joyce Fazeldine, Aboriginal lady, she took me in. Her and her sister would live together. And how's this, Soda? She ran the Bourke TAFE Aboriginal Art Program.
Right. And how old are you at this stage?
I'm 30.
Right. So you've lived a lot of life at that point.
Yeah. So
right.
30 is the year that age of 30 is when everything changed for me.
So 20s were a pretty colourful time, I imagine.
Colourful,
lot of trying to put it.
Womanising, drinking, fighting, travelling, walkabout, walkabout, all that type of stuff.
Right.
Like sometimes I'd just, which way? We're going to Chuka today. Yeah, I'll just hop in the car, we'll go to Chuka, or, end up in Melbourne, or, just fly by the seat of my pants. Always had a way of landing on my feet, and still had the gift of the gab back then, and and then you're probably a little bit of bed hopping here and there, which I'm not proud of, by the way.
So you're 30, you get introduced to art.
Yeah.
Essentially by
By
where
this
you
lady who knew I'd shared my hobby, and my hobby was drawing.
Right. And where did that?
Well, two people, Mr. Peake from Murray High School and Mr. Sinclair from Murray High School. I had a love for art. So even as a dysfunctional young man, I had these books and I drew. I just done drawings.
Yep.
But I was in that jail cell, and every time I'd find myself in spaces, I always knew that I was more than what I'd become. I always knew that. I am more than what I've become.
So there was, despite all of the trauma, there was still some optimism. You had, was it, or you felt
more
there was more?
I wasn't, at the time I wasn't optimistic. I just knew that I was better than what I'd become.
Yep.
I knew I was better than what I'd become. And then I remember sitting in that jail cell, and I just remember Mum's words going through my head, you're like, you need to forgive him. I forgave him. You need to forgive your father. And I was like, and in my mind, I was like, he's not my father. You need to forgive him. And then they built a good friendship. And they were there for each other as well. And old Kev found a beautiful lady that I look after today, Auntie Flossie. Love you, Auntie Floss. And I still take care of her today. Mum Beryl and old Kev, Dad, they became very good friends after everything that happened. After everything that happened, they became. So Mum led by example. And this is a lady that I watched get beat up. This is a lady, not to demean or put my father down, because he's the only dad I ever knew. He'd come home from the pub, he was very violent, and and Mum locked him out one time. He chopped through the door with an axe and then beat Mum with an axe handle in front of me and my sister, we seen stuff that, So I'm always grabbing my little sisters, putting my hand over her eyes, and then I just run with her all the time. And we'd run up the road to, forget the lady's name, but she was a Connolly from Taylor. And the Connolly, they were very kind to Mum and us. And we'd always run up the road there, or we'd run over the railway tracks and to my auntie's house. And I always had this thing about just grab my little sister and protect her first, and then we'd run away. Mum went through her stuff, but then she became to love and forgive old Kev.
So this forgiveness was huge.
Yeah,
this was the change for you.
Yeah, so I'm sitting in a jail cell and I'm thinking, why am I like I am? And it's like I had this little epiphany. I could trace this. People got good fires and bad fires. I had this bad fire, and I could trace this connection back to him, and this hatred I had towards him, and that And then I was at rock bottom. I'm in another state, halfway across from my family and kids, and here I am again. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm tired of this life. I'm tired. So it was right there and then that I had a moment to literally pray and say, give me the strength to forgive him. And that's what God done. He gave me the strength to forgive him. And that was the day that I literally forgave and let go. And I didn't want to hold on to it no more. I knew my life was going to get better, but I knew it wasn't going to happen overnight. Yeah. So then the next day I got out on the pill bar. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then to Burke, and then it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
That takes an enormous amount of emotional intelligence, though, to be able to process that yourself. Because you're not doing that with therapy or sitting with experts or so.
Yeah.
You've come across that yourself, knowing that forgiveness, in a way, would it set you free?
Yeah, because Mum always planted that seed. And I thought forgiving someone was letting them off the hook. And there's no way I'm going to let this fella off the hook.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
But what forgiveness is, so what happened to you has no more power over you anymore.
Yep.
So I got a little scar here. So there's a little scar there. Mm-hmm. And a little scar here on the side. I was 16 when I jumped out of a car going through the Adelaide Hills as a young man. I just didn't want to be around anymore because all that stuff role playing in my head. And then the next day, or 2 days after, I had to go and get assessed at Glenside. I didn't stay there, but I had to go and get assessed. And then it was all the trouble, just dysfunction. And then I think that was a really major turning point for me. Now, I forgave him. I never told him. I never told him. But there'd be times I'd see and have times like, pop in and visit or whatever. But there was still that, he'd say and do things that would anger me. And I would like, okay, breathe. I'll let you off the hook this one, and okay, I got to go now, and you know, and yeah. So
it's really interesting how you mentioned that the forgiveness wasn't letting him off the hook. It was, you say it was more releasing you from the ties and the pain? Is that?
Yeah. So what happened to me has no more power over me. That's why I can talk about it. For a long time, I could not talk about things.
Yep.
I could not cry. I could not talk about it. But now it's like I'm okay. Like I've healed from it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's been a real mad journey. Like it's been challenging. From the age of 30, I'm 52 now, 53 in April. It probably took 2 years to see the fruits of my decision-making start to show. You can always tell people by the fruit of their life, you know. So you got to plant the seed, you got to water the seed, you got to grow and nurture that plant, then you get fruit. That takes time. And sometimes we get a little bit impatient. And so it took about 2 years to see the fruits of my decision-making.
During those 2 years, did you feel...
I felt better.
A relief?
Yes, 100%. I felt like this weight off my chest. Yep. I just felt like I wasn't angry. I mean, I still suffered with anger, but not to the extreme anger that I had. Yeah.
So how do you forgive?
For me, I'm very sensitive in saying, oh, you need to forgive. I wouldn't just say that. What I say is that I won't tell you what to do, but I'll share what worked for me. Because I think it's pretty insensitive when you look at some of the evil that's in this world, or, you know, what people have been through. And we're talking unspeakable evils, like, you know, and I don't even want to mention stuff, you know, but so for me it was like, I won't tell you what to do, but I'll share with what worked for me.
Yep.
So when I go into prisons, I share this story. When I go into men's groups, I share this story. I just done a Aboriginal organisation where they paid me to come in and share my story, because I have a big Indigenous following in this country, and I have a lot of non-Indigenous getting along now, which is great because they pay for their tickets. And yeah, so thank you, white people. We love you out there. Yeah, I have an Aboriginal celebrity status in this country, and it's good. You know, I love doing what I do.
I love how you've been able to process that yourself, because I could imagine the last 20 years are remarkably different to your first 30.
If someone told me 22 years ago, when I was sitting in that jail cell, you'd be travelling the world, working out of the UK, couple of, you know, 5-star reviews, sold out seasons, not show seasons, you know, travel all over the country, making people laugh, creating great pieces of artwork, influencing people in the positive, have the love and respect of my children, which is most paramount for me, because they know my story and they know how I've managed to love, nurture and be there for my children. And some people out there are dealing with one mother. I had to deal with 3 mothers. 3 beautiful black women. Never seen a pink nipple in my life, Soda, but I heard they're out there. They're out there like Yowies and Sasquatches. They're out there.
Hey, they're not everything they're made out to be, mate. I've seen a couple, don't worry. Thank you so much for sharing that, you know, your vulnerability, because there's enormous strength in that vulnerability. But how you've been able to experience it, but then also put it together in your head. And that's pretty amazing, because I don't think a lot of people are able to do it. So that emotional intelligence that you've got to navigate your way through is fantastic.
Thank you, brother. I think for me, I'm pretty genuine when I did turn my life around, because like there was times like I never back-answered my mothers. I literally feared them, right? So I never back-answered them, even when they were in the wrong. I never back-answered them. But obviously they talk, you know, but there was a period of time where I wasn't even allowed her in their yards. You know, dear old mum, you know, when she finally made the break from old Kev, she, you know, found God and, you know, became a Christian. I'd rock up to Mum Beryl's and she's like, get out of my yard. You're not welcome here. You're going to hell, Kevin. You're going to hell. I said, Mum, I never done nothing to you. The way you live in your life is disrespecting me. So Mum wouldn't let me in her yard for 2 years. And I kind of sulked about that. Mum Rosie was so hard on me, you know, and I thought at a period of time they didn't love me, but it was tough love that I needed. And so when I did turn my life around, they used to have this event, you can Google it, it's called the Deadly Awards, and used to be at the Sydney Opera House. So it was the who's who of Indigenous. It's like Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander Indigenous Oscars.
Yep.
So 5,500 people packed out, main room at this. I got to open the Deadlies on 6 times. And the second time that I done it, I got to fly both my mums across. So that was pretty special. They seen this troubled young man that made some decisions. Now I'm fast becoming an Aboriginal celebrity in this country, and to be able to share. And then my mums, I just love and adore them. Both from Raucan Aboriginal community, both grew up there. Mum Rosie was taken from the Raucan school at the age of 10, put in the Fullerton Girls' Home without my grandparents knowing. And then she got trained as a domestic, and she had to marry at the age of 15 to get out of the system. And then my grandmother, her mother, Nana Vera, she was very militant back then, and she's like, because you weren't allowed her off the Raucan community without permission from the white superintendent. This was my grandmother's time, right? So she's, I'm allowed to travel in this country without you white fellas telling me what to do. So she'd leave Raucan. This happened 3 times, and 3 months jail every time. And I've got my mum's handwritten notes that were given to me after her death. And she was telling me how my grandfather went down and was demanding his daughter back. And she can hear my grandfather demanding to see her. And she was in the room right next to where the front door, and she could hear him demanding to get his daughter back. And people say, and then, oh, they just need to get over it. I said, get over what? You know what I mean? And me, I just say, let's show a bit of love and empathy and really look at the history of this. Because you see, I'm a result of generational trauma. When I found out what happened to old Kev and what he went through and what he grew up in, I can understand. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right. But I can understand his behaviours.
Was that part of being able to have that forgiveness then? Because
I wanted to forgive, and I genuinely, because after the age of 8, when all the abuse stopped, he actually started treating me really good. I yanan Ngaradjiri. I speak my language because of him. I could take you through the Coorong, between the Coorong and the Southern Ocean, and I can show you how to find fresh water because of him.
Yeah.
I know how to clean a rabbit. I was cleaning a rabbit at the age of 8, 9, I know how to clean a kangaroo because he taught me that, I know how to, when you go out and get the duck and the geese and that, I know how to do all that because of him. So I learned a lot of cultural knowledge because of him. And his grandfather was a traditional man straight off the Coorong. So I learned a lot of stuff because of him. So I'm grateful for that.
it shows the maturity in your intelligence and emotional intelligence to be able to take the good, forgive the bad, and then create a wonderful life for you and your kids.
And my dear old Uncle Clyde Rigney from Raucan, he was really stepped into that role of being a mentor for me. And I give him a few grey hairs. And my dear old uncle, and he married my auntie, so he married into our family. But he became a really significant man in my life. And I spoke to him on the way down to this podcast, and he planted some really good seeds. And one of the seeds that kind of helped me heal and grow was you have to accept the things you can't change. And my biological father is Eli Sainsbury. So I'm a Sainsbury Millerer. So young Millerer playing for, that's my nephew. So my grandmother was a Millerer, married Sainsbury on my biological father. So I just want to give shout out to all my Naranga family out there, all the Point Pierce mob.
And is that Ed Sainsbury as well through Central District?
I'm a Sainsbury and a Millerer. So that's on my grandmother's and grandfather's side, but my father's name was Eli Sainsbury. And I never had the opportunity to meet him. So I always wondered what would it be like, and so you always, but hey, you got to accept the things you can't change, but I can honour him. By just give him a shout out now, I can still honour him and my family, all the Sainsbury mob on Point Pierce,
I love your outlook, Kev. I think I'm sort of blown away listening to your story and how you've been able to evolve into the life that you have now, given that situation. And like you said at the start, you could have become a statistic.
Yeah, 100%. And my mum, Beryl, she'd always talk cryptic and I hated it. Yeah, my son, you know, when you walk in love, you walk in power.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking crap for, Mum? I don't know. What do you mean by these things? My little 25-year-old brain did not compute Will Robinson, you know. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, well, love is the most powerful force on this earth, in this universe. And then she'd give me this Bible verse: love is patient, love is kind, love is never jealous or envious, love does not keep score. And now we live in Murray Bridge at the time. She goes, look, we live in a pretty racist town. And there was a lot of racial, back in the 90s, it was pretty bad. And she goes, you're going to get a redneck that's going to come up to you and abuse you and give you a mouthful of abuse. What are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to deal with it, you know. And she goes, well, if you're patient with that person, even though he doesn't deserve it, that's love. When you're kind to people that don't even deserve your kindness, that's love. And that's power. Right. Then the little light bulb moment, ting, I get it. So I just started to be patient and more kind.
When you're talking about this and all the different things, you've been able to sound like take some real fantastic nuggets of information from different people that you've had in your life and been able to live that. Yeah.
And like I'd be dead or in a mental hospital for the love of my mothers and the love of God, you know. And I have a faith. I don't share it because I don't live it.
Yeah.
But every time I put that head on that pillow, I have my time with God. Yeah. I have my prayer. I ask God to watch over my children. I ask God to continually bless me.
Yep.
And you know, I think life's only beginning now for me, you know, brother. You know?
Sounds like it.
You know. And
you got 8 kids.
8 beautiful babies.
Geez, you're busy.
Look, I had some issues. The mothers of my children have blessed me with the most beautiful things I love the most in this world, where my children see me love their mothers. Yeah, I was a rat bag. Yeah, I'd come home with, you know, maybe a little love bite. I don't know what you're getting angry for, but silly, stupid, dumb crap like that. But I just honour them.
Yep.
You know, and I'm able to be a positive, loving influence in their lives. But Dad, you was always missing. Yeah, because Dad had issues. Dad would go and get the bread and milk and I'd come back 3-4 weeks later. You know, I didn't know how to constructively deal with my emotions.
Yep.
I didn't know how to. So when you learn to do that now, you know, and to be able to mentor my sons and say, no, you don't do that, you know. But Dad, you was hard on me. Yeah, but I did not know how to be a father. All I know is that I didn't want you to be like me, you know.
I could imagine you've had some amazing conversations with your kids.
Yeah. I mean, I had a good yarn with my son, Kosi, yesterday. We had a real deep conversation for about an hour and be able to plant those positive seeds in his life. And my oldest son, Kev, and Brait, and my little Kinder Surprise, I sulked for 2 months when I got 7 babies. And she goes, Kev, we're pregnant. And I'm like, you know what? I don't even give a fuck no more.
Another one. You got 8 of them.
And he's my little spit out of my mouth. He looks exactly like me.
Yeah.
And my kids are so functional and happy and, you know.
Dad of 8, and you said you didn't know how to be a good father early days.
Because I just did the exact opposite of what happened to me.
How do you be a great parent?
Well, I think it's a good way to check yourself. Because when my kids are old enough to think, Dad, we're scared of you. Because I had anger issues. Like I was fierce and loving and then I would always watch my kids under a magnifying glass. There's no way anyone's going to hurt my kids, what happened to me. So I was very overprotective. As a parent, as fathers, I think good men make a difference. Good fathers make a great difference. So if you need to make an apology, be genuine with your apology. Be genuine. And then be genuine to your commitment to change. And things ain't going to happen overnight. So if you've got to build a bridge, be patient building that bridge, right? And then you've got to show that patience, show that kindness, leave the ball in their court, and then allow them to come to you. And that's exactly what I did over the years. But I remember putting my head on the pillow, and sometimes as a kid I didn't know what was going to happen that night. I knew there was a feeling in when you get ripped out of a bed in the middle of the night and chucked in cold showers and you get beat up and all that type of stuff. You think, when my kids put their head on the pillow and the peace in the house, I'd just check the doors, check the windows, sit in the peace. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. Then I'd log on to lonelydaddies.com. You didn't see that one coming, did you?
Yeah, what then you're looking for number 9?
No, that's a joke, by the way, people. Yeah. But the truth of the matter, and thank you for laughing, the truth of the matter is I just revel in that peace and watch them sleep. And they knew when they put their head on the pillow, they knew who their father was. They knew that I loved them.
And you were there?
And I was there.
Now, you talked about, obviously, 8 little ones.
Yeah.
One of them is Kosi Pickett.
Yeah,
now,
my big son. Yeah.
Many people know Kosi, obviously, a wonderful footballer out of Woodville, West Torrens, and now at Melbourne. It's pretty amazing. And obviously, I know you love all your kids, all 8 of them. But you're watching one of them who has now become the longest contracted AFL footballer.
Yeah.
With ridiculous amounts of money you could never dream of.
Yeah.
What's it been like watching where he's gone?
Well, first things first, I still remember him when he was born, and, he's I think when I first seen him, a bit of talent in him, he was about, when he just moved back to WA, I'd seen him, took him in a little Stack used to play for...
Sydney Stack.
Yeah. So I went and took him into the park and have a bit of a kick with the footy, and I just seen some talent with him already, just like doing some kicking with the kids. And for me, I just said to him, I said, look, son, I know a lot of great footballers that are arseholes. So it's more important to me as a father that you're a good man. You just focus on being a good man and football will take care of itself. I said, don't talk about yourself. That's not your job. Always stay humble. And don't talk about yourself. That's your family's job, right? So always stay humble. Always give time to people. So away from the field, he's a good man. And that's what I'm real proud of. Now, I knew about the deal before everybody else did. And I remember, because he'd ring me up because, I want to leave Melbourne. I'm not going to tell you. You need to stay in Melbourne. And he'll tell you this.
So he had strong ties back here, of course, in South Australia?
SA and WA.
And WA, right.
And I was saying, no, I don't. Look, because Dad, when there was all that talk going on, he goes, I want to leave Melbourne. And I was like, Cos, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I know in my heart and my spirit that Melbourne is where you need to be. Home don't run away. You can go home afterwards.
And what was your belief behind that? Was that so he could have some independence?
I reckon he get independence. I think a lot of distractions in SA and WA, and it's not a bad thing. It's just I think having that distance from home will allow you to get you to be the individual, take care of your family, and when the time's right, go home. But I feel like I've always known in my spirit that Melbourne is the best place for him to be. And I'm glad he's going to be a one-club man. I cannot speak highly enough of the Melbourne Footy Club. So, Richo, thank you for stitching this deal up. Thank you to his management and his previous management. Thank you, Rhodesy, for doing a great job and loving my son.
So Peter Rhodes
love Rhodesy.
Yeah.
Yep. He's been really good. We had a lot of good conversations for the best interest of my son. And, and a shout out to his Pickett family too. They love him very much as well, like he's been raised by a village, so there's a lot of, he's culturally been raised with all mob from both sides, he's loved by the AFL family, he's loved by the Melbourne family, and I think he's just thriving in that now, and he's a talented young man.
When you watch him run around the MCG and light it up, you get a little buzz? Always.
I was real proud of him. And this year last year I got to design the Guernsey. Being an artist, I designed the Guernsey. And there's a recorded interview. I said, and I kind of spoke it into existence. I said, I hope this lad gets best on ground in the Guernsey that his father designed. And it literally happened against Sydney at the MCG. My youngest son River got to run on the field with his big brother, and he's a special human being. He's a good man. so proud of him.
Well, he's got a good dad.
Yeah, well, he
Taught him well.
Yeah, well, I have to have some hard conversations with him, and every now and then, sometimes Dad's got to put the wind up them, and but out of all my kids, he's given me the less grief as well. So he's naturally a good heart, and he's naturally a good heart, and that comes from both sides of the family. And everyone's like, aren't you? Like, I was only talking about it yesterday. Do you remember Grant Hansen? He used to have that TV show, the Marngrook Footy Show.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, so he's a good mate of mine.
Yeah.
And Grant and I had a good talk yesterday, and he's talking to, and he goes, wasn't you worried about, because he's just Kosi Pickett. I said, no, I know who my son is. I love my son. And for all your listeners out there, his name is Kosi Kropinyeri-Pickett.
Yeah.
He's got a hyphenated name. But, I mean, there's nothing to worry about. Like, he's representing his family on both sides, whether he's wearing, his passport, bank card, licence is all Kropinyeri-Pickett. And, doesn't bother me. He knows I love him, and he knows who his dad is, and he's proud of his dad too, because he gets along to my shows, and I've got a few Kosi Pickett jokes, which is pretty funny.
We can expect some of those in the garden?
1,000%. He goes,
Right.
I remember last year going to perform for the club, and when I rocked up, because he knows I'm performing, he goes, don't go talking about me. And I was like, well, if that $2,500 is not in my account within the next 15 minutes, I'm going hard.
He's brilliant, and obviously, again, you've been able to use your experience in your life to impart that on your kids.
Yeah. And big shout out to my oldest son, Kevin Kropinyeri Junior. He's such a special man. All my kids are so special. And I guess it's better than anything. Like, I don't have steps, so I raised 2 girls that weren't my own. Yeah, so when I got with my my beautiful ex, who I love dearly, in Swan Hill, Victoria, I took on her 2 girls. And because of what happened to me, there was no way that I was ever going to treat these girls any different. So I loved and raised these girls from the age of 2 and 4. And I'm pop to their kids. And we have very, very strong, loving relationship. And my family was so loving, and that they took them girls in and loved them as their own as well. So I always say 8, and I don't like to say I've got 2 steps, because only steps I have lead up to my house. You know what I mean?
I love it.
You know what I mean? Becoming a step kid myself, I was no way I was gonna. So I love these girls. Put their father in check. I'm the new sheriff in town. Get with the program.
Yeah.
I'm the man of the house now. So move on, butter.
Yeah. Your family, the family tree in terms of just football in itself is quite remarkable. So Eddie Hocking's a cousin?
Yep, Eddie.
Yep.
Eddie Hocking, love my brother, love you very much. He was the first superstar in our family.
Well, I can still remember him jumping off the ground and belting James Manson.
I remember that. Footy Park, on the wing.
I remember it. And so Isaac Rankin?
Isaac Rankin, nephew.
Yep.
Yeah, he apple don't fall too far from the tree. His old man was a gun.
Yeah.
And not to mention the other side of the family, on the O'Brien side, Davey O'Brien's, they've had a lot of great footballers too.
Mickey O'Loughlin?
Yep. Now, I love Mick, and I always hang and crap on Mick because I love him. But that lad, he was such a small kid there at one stage, and then he just grew bang through the roof, and he has made us so proud.
Obviously, Byron.
Yep,
was brother-in-law.
Old brother-in-law, love him, and I have many good nights on the Terps with Byron. Top bloke, good heart. Yeah.
Kev, I'm so excited. I'm very, very grateful that you've come and joined us, because I've learnt a lot, and it's got me thinking a lot about family and life and being a father, with what you've been exposed to, but how you've been able to become a wonderful man and a wonderful father.
Yeah, thank you, brother. It's been hard. I think you learn a lot. People, you're so wise. I was like, no, I made a lot of mistakes, mate, that I've learned from. So I tread really carefully now, and I try and impart that love onto my kids and people that in my family. And I hold something in my family now that it's like, I hold a real position of influence in my family. And so it's very important to me that I keep showing up every day and keep kicking goals, and
Well, we've gone pretty deep here
Yeah.
in many, many things, which is great, but certainly funny comes first.
Yeah.
From the 16th of March, there's going to be a lot of laughs in there.
Well, you know what? The flip side of tragedy is comedy. So I got a lot of comedy, brother. You know, so I just started to talk about my life. You know, one of the old jokes that I remember when I hosted Melbourne Comedy Festival roadshows, and I was thinking one time, and I was like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. He's been on the Melbourne Comedy Gala. He's performed here, overseas, and blah, 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 blah. Kosi Kropinyeri, you walk out like it's your first ever payday, you know? And you can always tell when a black fella get paid by the way they walk, you know? And so walk out, and I was thought to myself, so what would my family introduce me as? You know, like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. Father of 8 from 3 different mothers, has been locked up in 3 states, and is still banned from the Taylor Football Club for life, you know? And people are laughing like, don't laugh, it's all true.
Yeah.
So the flip side of tragedy is comedy. So now that I'm a healed man, I don't mind talking about my past. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So the past don't define me. So I always bring the funny about everything. And my good friend, when I went up to Roxby Downs, her name's Nicole North, she watched me perform up and everyone's laughing. And she's like, it's all bloody true.
Yeah.
You know, so have a good laugh at myself, have a good laugh at the past, and then come through with some real gems. Because, Soda, I love Australia. And the older I get, the less colour I see. I see good people, you know. I see green and gold. I see red and black and yellow. And I love this country. And I want to think that my comedy will bring people together as well. But it's always about the funny. People want to come to a comedian because they don't want to hear lectures or things. So my show is about, I'm just going to bring the funny. Come along, have a good laugh, and we'll have a beer afterwards.
Kev, honestly, it's been a real privilege listening to your story, and I love how much strength you have sharing that vulnerability and how you've looked at what's happened and been able to take all the good, take those little gems, those little nuggets of information and what your mums have shown you and forgiven, you know.
Yeah,
Kevin.
Well, you know, old Kev, that was a pretty monumental time because I forgave him. I just never told him. And I was in a relationship in Sydney at the time. My sister rang me, Sally, and she says, oh, Kev, Dad's got to go in for an operation. It's 50-50. He's going to either die or live. Well, during that operation, he died twice and they revived him. And because he's calling out for you. I said, look, Sally, you know how I feel. Like I love him, but I've forgiven him, but I'm just doing my own thing now, you know. And then the ex came back from work in Sydney and she goes, hey, what's going on? She could see I was a little bit thinking, Kev's got to go on for this operation and he may live or he may not live. It's 50-50. And I said, I don't know whether to go and I just probably won't go. And she goes, no, you're going. She cancelled her work for the rest of the week. I cancelled my work. And we left Sydney that night, got to Wagga, drove from Wagga all the way to Adelaide. And we walked into that room and there was my sister and my ex. And we walked in, and I'm grateful for her doing this too, by the way. And then when he walked in, he seen me and he bowed his head and started to, you know, and then he asked my ex and my sister to leave the room. And he put out his hand. I said, how you going, old fella? And I grabbed his hand and he just bust out crying. And he goes, I'm sorry for everything that I've ever done to you. I'm sorry that everything I've ever done to you. And I said, that's okay, old fella. I forgave you a long time ago. I just never told you. And I said, by the way, you don't stand before me on Judgment Day. You stand before God. Just get your life right with God. But I love you and I forgive you. And you're going to be okay. You're going to get through this. And then he died twice on the operating table, come out of it, recovered. And the brother was blowing my phone up every day, ringing me. I'm like, man, this is too much. Wow. You know? And I had to have that conversation with him. And I had to have that conversation and say, hey, old fella, I love you, I forgive you, but there's just no room in my life at the moment. And he goes, I respect that. And then he respected what I had to say. Then I got my 2 younger sons to come back and live with me, and I needed my sister. I needed my sister to play that mother role while I go and travel and work. Yep. My sister lived with the old fella. So then he became a really good grandfather. you know. And it was for my two youngest children that brought me back into a really good relationship with him. You know, and we had a really good, I paid his electricity bill every 3 months. I got a sheep cut up, put in, you know, amongst the family. I take care of my family, Soda. Yeah. You know, I paid his registration, paid for his 80th, and just had a great relationship in that last few years of his life, you know, and it was really, really, really healing for both of us. And so that's the power of love, and that's the power of walking in the power of love. It just those things, or I look at all these little things that fell into place over the years, you know. Yep. So I'm pretty grateful.
That's a credit to you that you were able to do that, because clearly you gave him some peace and a chance to be a great granddad.
Yeah.
Because maybe he didn't get it right as a father, but he did as a grandfather.
Yeah, and my children loved him. My children loved him. So it was all healing at the end. And so bad things happen, but love conquered all. Yeah.
It's actually it's a good story to the Kevin Kropinyeri book. Bad things happen, but love conquered all.
Wow, I never thought about that. There's a lot more to the story too, you know, and but no, I appreciate, you know, just in the recent year and a half, a lot of this stuff is beginning to evolve in my life at the moment, guest speaking. And so it's something that I'm passionate about. I've been into prisons, I've been into youth detention centres, I've done men's groups, Aboriginal organisations around, you know, so it's something that's kind of starting to evolve again. And so I'm pretty grateful, brother.
Well, you've got a powerful story and you should be sharing it, and I'm really, really grateful that you've been able to share it with us, Ken.
Soda, what a pleasure, man. Like, you've been a star and you've loved your footy. We both love our football. And, you know, I've definitely known who you are, and I'm sitting here across the table having a podcast with you, brother. What a deadly, eh?
Well, mate, it's brilliant. I love it. And
you played footy with my little first cousin, Muffy
Kropinyeri. Yeah, we couldn't get across the line against Port Adelaide, the 98 grand final, but geez, he was a bloody good little player.
Yeah, he was tough, eh?
Absolutely. He was tiny. There was nothing of him. But
54 kilo, playing league footy. Yeah. I remember coming to watch him at Adelaide Oval, and I was there with his father, which is my mum's brother, and we were sitting behind the literally goals, and Scotty Salisbury, who I love and respect, playing for Glenelg, and Muff got this run up and just got the right leap, just sat on his shoulders, and I was like, I'm watching my little first cousin, who I love. He was a little snotty-nosed black fella from home, and he's just sitting on Scotty Salisbury's shoulder, and I was like, man, my little cousin. I just rejoice in others having you know, rejoice in others. Like, when he's winning, I'm winning. When you're winning, Soda, we're all winning. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know. So
no, mate, it's brilliant. Funny comes first, right? You can get your tickets. Garden of Unearthly Delights. Yes, kicking off 16th of March. I will be sitting in the audience listening.
No worries, we'll make it.
I'll be able to sit there and go, yeah, no, it's all true. It's all true.
Yeah. So I'm so looking forward to bringing the show. And leave your PC at home, people. Okay? Leave your PC at home. We're going to bring the funny. You got permission to laugh, my beautiful non-Indigenous brothers and sisters.
It will be a woke-free event.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they still, you know, they haven't slept in Victoria for decades down there. They're still woke, you know.
Good on you, mate. Yeah. Like I said, absolute pleasure, mate. Really appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, brother Soda.
Good on you, mate.
Awesome. Cheers.
Well, thanks so much for listening. And if you love what you've heard, you can subscribe to the Soda Room podcast. You can write a review if you like, and share the show with your friends. Just before we go, a big thank you to our friends at Wavell Hyundai, a family-owned dealership with a friendly, experienced team who genuinely care about their customers. Wavell Hyundai has got the best range you've ever seen. So if you're looking for a family car, Hyundai's range has got you covered. Everyday options to getting around town to big, spacious SUVs like Drive's Car of the Year, the Santa Fe. Comfort, safety and space for the whole family. Go and visit the team at Wavell Hyundai. You can find them just opposite the Adelaide Showgrounds on Goodwood Road. Wavell Hyundai, driven by Australian Motors.